Once we learned that Robert Card had been found deceased, we reached back out to David for his response, and he did text us a reply, and he said that we can quote him, so that's what I'm going to do. He says, "I cried, Lisa was relieved, we'll be able to sleep tonight. A post online stated, hope he burns in hell. I replied, hell is too good for him, and you can quote me, thank you, that's all." What I had heard from this couple is, number one, Lisa was still afraid that he was still out there, but also their chief concern among all of it is that they wanted answers because they just could not wrap their head around the fact that something like this could happen or why a person would do that. And unfortunately for this couple and for this community, it appears that because Robert Card has been found deceased, having died by suicide according to law enforcement, they may never get those answers. It's possible they were never going to get them to begin with, but it is another layer of the pain. Having said that, though, hopefully, now that these shelter-in-place orders have been lifted and they have this sense of closure that the suspect is not out there, they can begin that grieving process as a community, Phil.
And I know you were watching, Trevor. The governor said this about the discovery of the shooter during a press conference tonight. Take a listen.
Like many people, I'm breathing a sigh of relief tonight, knowing that Robert Card is no longer a threat to anyone. I know there are some people, and many people, who share that sentiment, but I also know that his death may not bring solace to many.
Yeah, Trevor, the governor echoing what you just said. The shelter in place was lifted for people in the area today, and now they know, of course, the shooter is dead. What's next for this community that you've been in for the better part of a couple of days now, hurting so deeply?
Yeah, well, Phil, what we've been seeing is these people coming together virtually. What I think you're going to see immediately is people coming together physically. I mean, up until tonight, before they had learned that the suspect had been found, there were plans for an online vigil in the wake of this massacre. I would almost guarantee tomorrow there's going to be at least one, if not several, vigils for these 18 people who were killed. What we saw in the immediate aftermath of the shelter-in-place order getting lifted was people bringing flowers, placing them still a block down the road from the crime scene because they just wanted to pay tribute. People putting up the Lewiston Strong signs. You're going to see a lot more of that. And we've seen so much of it on the internet, and that's what these victims and survivors have been telling me, is that basically their only way to communicate has been on social media because a lot of them, like David and Lisa, their phones are still here in the crime scene and they can't come get them. That's the only way they have to communicate. Now these people who are intrinsic part of their lives, so many of them are in bowling leagues. They see these people every week, if not more. They will finally be able to get together once again to process this and take those first steps forward, Phil.
Trevor Ault from Lewiston, Maine. Trevor, you've been covering this since the very beginning and getting on the air so quickly with the breaking news tonight, with at least a little bit of closure for these families. Trevor, thanks so much. Our Aaron Katersky joins me now. Aaron, what do we know more about the discovery of the shooter's body here? And I'm going to start calling him the shooter now that we know he's dead. I'm not going to keep saying his name. So what do we know about the discovery of the shooter's body?
It was about 7:45 p.m. at a recycling center in Lisbon Falls, Maine, where the shooter had worked, where his body was discovered. And among the first to be notified, members of his family, along with the families of those who were killed, before the authorities stepped out to the microphones to announce that Robert Card is dead, as the governor of Maine put it, and as the Lewiston police chief put it, the threat is over. The shooter had been the subject of an intense manhunt and search. Today, hundreds of law enforcement officials went to the bank of the river because that's where the suspect's car, a white Subaru with a black bumper, had been found. They were prepared to send dive teams into the water. They had helicopters, drones, and airplanes overhead searching. They also were doing a grid search where members of the Forest Service in Maine were going to be going step by step to try and search the wooded areas along the river. And about a mile away from where his car was found is that recycling center where he worked and where his body was ultimately discovered dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
You mentioned his family. You were talking about how cooperative they had been throughout the process.
They had been cooperative, we're told, speaking with law enforcement officials almost immediately after the two shooting scenes had unfolded, and they were able to give police a description of someone whose mental health had clearly been on the decline. They also told police about a 2-week stint in some kind of psychiatric care belonging to the military after an episode over the summer where he was behaving erratically while training with Army reservists. He was an Army reservist himself since 2002, and he had been hearing voices in his head. He had threatened to shoot up a National Guard facility or an Army Reserve facility in Saco, Maine, and fellow soldiers, in addition to reporting his erratic behavior, had said that he had been perhaps threatening violence toward them. So that was the result, a 2-week stint in a psychiatric facility. Once he was discharged, it's not clear whether the military ever let authorities in Maine know that could have taken away perhaps his weapons.
All right, Aaron Katersky with the latest. Thank you very much. And now I want to bring in Brad Garrett. The shooter, Brad, has been found dead. You heard that with us along tonight. So where does the investigation go from here?
So you have to finish the investigation. In other words, everything from where he got the weapon, things that he has said, to Aaron's point, what went on at West Point, what did the hospital there come up with, what was their write-ups, were there steps that could have intervened to have stopped him, at least from having a weapon. I haven't heard anything that would have suggested they could have locked him up before this. But could you have slowed this down, or ideally, of course, seize the weapon and then have somebody regularly check on him to see what's going on with him? And they will do that. So every piece that you would normally do, Phil, to prepare for trial, they're going to do. They're going to have to write a detailed report as to, from the beginning, from 2 nights ago, from where it started, all the way through up until his body was found, and then all the pieces in between, which is going to take them back weeks, if not months, into his life to better understand what really happened here.
Brad, the significance of where he was found, we're being told that he once worked at this facility. Again, as you said earlier on today in some of our coverage, you were leaning toward that they were probably going to find him dead. That is what happened tonight. What's the significance of where he was found, and does it surprise you that he was found at a place he knew?
No, because people tend to go where they have a history. So I'm going to assume here that the reason he drove his car to that boat dock that is in proximity of the recycling center. And so it makes sense to me. It's not always the case. But even in cases where people go, let's just take mass shooting out of it and go to suicide, even people, when they tend to take their lives, if they take it in a violent way with a weapon or they take medication or whatever it might be, will sometimes go to places that they have a history, in the woods, in a cabin, wherever it might be. And you always have to look at mass shooting cases, is that that suicide is always a major component. And so you have to think, you have to put on your hat of, okay, if this is a suicide, he obviously survived the shootings, where would he go? And then you make that list, and part of the places that you search would be, logically, the recycling center.
And at the end of 3 days, we now know. And Brad Garrett, thank you for your expertise throughout the entire 3 days that we've been covering this. You've been really on point, Brad. Thank you. Now to the innocent lives taken. We have to talk about the people who were killed here. There are at least 18 dead. The oldest, 76 years of age. The youngest, just 14. ABC's Whit Johnson with more.
Tonight, Lewiston, Maine, overwhelmed with grief as we learn the names of all of those killed in the massacre. The youngest victim, Aaron Young, was just 14, killed along with his father, Bill, in the bowling alley. His stepsister remembering that precious life taken far too soon.
Aaron loved to bowl, and it was something they did fairly regularly, and it just happened to be that night.
And tonight, we're learning more about the heroes in their final moments. The family of Michael Delorier says he was shot while rushing the shooter. Joe Walker's wife telling WCVB she wasn't surprised to hear her husband, the bar manager, grabbed a knife in a desperate attempt to save others.
He could have just went out the back door, and he didn't. He grabbed the knife and decided to go after him. He was a hero. He always put himself first before anybody else. Would do anything for anybody. That was him.
So many of the victims leaving young children behind. Arthur Strout was a father of 5.
People loved him. You know, they just loved him.
Arthur's own dad was with him at the restaurant, but left just before the gunman walked in and opened fire.
I left 10 minutes before this happened. I'm there with my son, playing a couple games of pool, just laughing. And in that 10 minutes, he's just gone.
At least 6 of the injured are still hospitalized. Ben Dyer, a father of 2, was shot at the bar. But in a hopeful sign, today doctors were able to remove him from a ventilator.
He is breathing on his own, and his first words to us as we walked in the room was, "I just want to live." And he smiled at both of us.
A bit of good news in all of this horror. Whit Johnson, thanks so much. And now to the other major story we have been following all day, Israel and an escalation in the war against Hamas. It appears Israel has expanded its military operation inside Gaza. Armored vehicles have moved in. They have crossed the border each of the last 2 nights. This time, however, we're told the troops and the equipment will stay. Several operations have paved the way. Israel has stepped up its aerial bombardment, and it now appears all internet and cell phone service in Gaza is out. But after 3 weeks of fierce airstrikes by Israel, Hamas is still able to launch long-range missiles. One struck an apartment building, as you see in Tel Aviv, overnight. And how about those hostages as this war enters what appears to be a new phase? We have a lot of ground to cover for you tonight. We have our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, standing by with more on a thwarted attack at the U.S. base in the Middle East. But first, Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman reports from Tel Aviv.
Tonight, Israel with that massive bombardment of Gaza, those fireballs lighting up the night sky as the military announces to the world a new phase of this war is now beginning. The admiral declaring ground forces are expanding their operations tonight. Exactly what that means, still unclear. A U.S. official characterizes it to ABC News not as an invasion, but a more limited incursion. An Israeli military spokesman described it to me tonight as a sweep and clear operation to create better conditions for Israeli soldiers on the ground in Gaza, rooting out anti-tank capabilities and Hamas watch posts, and taking out Hamas fighters on the front lines.
But it seems like you're describing them doing something that's more active than what we've been hearing about, at least.
We've, as the general said, increasing our activities, taking the war to Hamas. We intend on dismantling their capabilities, destroying their government, and making sure they can never use the Gaza Strip as a staging ground against our people again.
It comes 24 hours after Israel launched this raid by sea, hammering a compound used by Hamas commando naval forces. Israeli troops landing on the beaches of Gaza in close combat. And through it all, Hamas still able to launch multiple salvos of rockets into Tel Aviv today.
You can see where that rocket hit just a few moments ago. That building's still smoldering.
And tonight, Israeli airstrikes cutting off phone and internet access to Gaza, further isolating more than 2 million people. Palestinian-American Jason Shawa is trapped with his wife and 2 small children in Gaza City, describing their terror in the pitch-dark night.
They keep waking up in a panic, in a frenzy. They have nightmares, and moms and dads are having a hell of a time trying to keep them calm at night. It's just horrible. I mean, what else can I say?
Also trapped in Gaza, some 229 hostages, believed to be hidden in Hamas's elaborate maze of underground tunnels. One of them is Erez Calderon. He turned 12 years old in captivity yesterday. Video circulating online shows gunmen taking him away from his kibbutz. His mother has never watched the video because she sees it played out in her mind.
I can hear him. Such a sweet, sweet boy, good heart.
And Matt joins us now from Tel Aviv. Matt, the Israeli military saying ground forces are expanding their operations tonight. So what does that mean for the more than 200 hostages already there? And where do you see this going from here?
Yeah. Phil, a deal has been negotiated by Qatar for the release of perhaps dozens of hostages. It's been in the works for days now, but Hamas has made a red line. If Israel invades the Gaza Strip, the deal is off. We don't know where the deal stands tonight, and we did speak to a representative of the hostages' families visiting Washington tonight, visiting with Kamala Harris, the vice president, and they told us that they had not been alerted about this incursion. Further, they are concerned that the incursion might imperil not just that deal, but just the very lives of their loved ones. Phil.
Yeah, a lot of concerns moving into the next phase of this. Matt Gutman from Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you. And just a quick note, as Matt mentioned, a little later on, you're going to hear from one of the families of the hostages who says they were not notified by the IDF about these expanded operations. Meantime, the Pentagon is watching developments very closely, as you would imagine, while also bracing for possible attacks on American forces there in the region. Defense officials say Iranian-backed militants have attacked U.S. service members about 20 times in just the last 10 days, prompting the U.S. to strike back. Here's Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz.
Tonight, a suicide drone believed to be targeting American forces in Iraq shot down by the U.S. just miles short of the base. The attempted attack coming after a pair of U.S. F-16 fighter jets launched retaliatory airstrikes overnight on Iranian-backed militants in Syria. The airstrikes pummeling two munitions facilities that the Pentagon says were linked to a spate of recent rocket and drone attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria, leaving dozens of service members injured, though all minor injuries. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin saying these Iranian-backed attacks against U.S. forces are unacceptable and must stop. A senior U.S. official adding that Iran's fingerprints were all over the attacks, including a barrage of missiles and drones launched from Yemen last week that a U.S. warship shot down over the Red Sea. But the president has stopped short of airstrikes on Iran itself.
Everything President Biden is doing, everything over the last couple of weeks is designed to prevent escalation, to prevent any other actor from trying to jump in here and deepen and widen this conflict.
And Martha joins me now. Martha, how concerned is the U.S. about others in the region taking action in the Israeli ground operations expanding?
Well, Phil, it's one of the reasons this retaliatory strike on the Iranian militants was limited, targeting only those weapons facilities. The U.S. wants to punish, not provoke, but the U.S. has made it clear to Iran and its proxies that if the strikes on U.S. forces continue, we will not hesitate to respond again. Phil?
All right, Martha Raddatz in Washington, D.C. tonight. Martha, thank you. And joining us now for more is ABC News contributor and former commander of U.S. Army Forces Command, General Robert Abrams. General, thanks so much for taking the time, lending your expertise tonight. You've had a similar experience fighting and commanding in Sadr City in Iraq back in 2004. What's the biggest challenge in your mind Israeli forces are facing as they go into Gaza?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge that they're going to find that we saw in 2004 and we've seen in other urban fights is trying to distinguish between non-combatants and lawful combatants on the battlefield. This is very, very dense terrain in Gaza and northern Gaza in particular. We've seen all the pictures of it. And Hamas is, woven completely inside civil society there. And it's very difficult for Israeli troops as they attack into northern Gaza to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants. I think that's going to be their biggest challenge.
One of the other challenges, most certainly, talk a little bit about the tunnels. If you were commanding this kind of incursion, how worried would you be about your troops as you go in with this massive network of tunnels beneath the city?
Yeah, this is an extraordinarily difficult task, and it's different. There's been a lot of comparisons with Fallujah, the fight in Fallujah multiple times, the fight in Mosul, certainly our fight in Sadr City. None of us have seen the tunnel network that exists in Gaza. It's probably only rivaled by tunnel systems that we might find in North Korea. It's extraordinarily difficult, and it'll it'll really impede the Israeli Defense Forces from maintaining any sort of momentum. They are going to have to proceed very, very deliberately and take actions to neutralize those tunnels before they continue. It's an added amount of complexity that no one has seen.
So Israel has stated very clearly that its goal is eradicating Hamas completely from Gaza. Do you see that as an achievable goal?
I think that's more of a description of what they would like. It's aspirational. As we, the U.S., our own experience in Iraq and Afghanistan over 20 years of war, it's virtually impossible to eliminate an insurgency, because for every 5 insurgents that you kill or neutralize, you're going to grow another 10. And they're not going to be limited to just inside Gaza or Gaza City. They'll reemerge somewhere else to fight another day. I think that's an aspirational statement, more of a conveyance of intent of stopping Hamas and finishing off their effectiveness by completely eliminating. I don't think that's possible.
And General, I know, just lastly here, I know this is asking you from afar, and you're not obviously involved in the operations that are going on over there, but you do have a specific set of skills and expertise. So I ask you the question, if the IDF was asking you to advise them how to proceed here, what kind of advice would you give them as they move in?
Well, they should use every bit of capability that's in their toolbox. In other words, not every problem needs a 10-pound sledgehammer. Sometimes you need a needle-nose screwdriver. Sometimes you need a jeweler screwdriver. Other times you might need a chainsaw. It's going to require every tool in their toolbox. One size does not fit all. Secondly, I'd tell them whatever they clear, they need to hold it. Otherwise, it'll become a vulnerability later on.
All right, General Robert Abrams, sir, thank you so much for your time and your expertise tonight. We appreciate it. Today, President Biden marked 5-year anniversary since the mass shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. The president tied the commemoration to the Hamas attack, saying, quote, "Today's remembrance comes on the heels of the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust." Biden concluded the statement by denouncing anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. The Tree of Life Synagogue massacre took the lives of 11 people now 5 years ago. And here in New York City, a judge has ruled Ivanka Trump must testify in her father's financial fraud trial. Why she argued she shouldn't have to, and how soon she and her brothers and her father will have to take the stand. Here's ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, Ivanka Trump is on notice. She will have to testify next week in the civil fraud case that accuses her father, 2 of her brothers, and the Trump family real estate business of inflating the former president's net worth by as much as $2 billion. She tried to get out of it, but Judge Arthur Engoron said today he wants to see Ivanka Trump in person. Even though she's no longer a defendant in the case, New York Attorney General Letitia James said Ivanka Trump has personal knowledge of facts and remains financially and professionally intertwined with the Trump Organization. Her lawyers said the testimony was only meant to harass and burden President Trump's daughter, but the judge was not swayed. So she and her oldest brothers, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, are now expected to testify next week before former President Trump is called as the state's last witness. Today, Trump's lawyers paid $15,000 in fines the judge imposed after ruling Trump violated a gag order prohibiting disparaging public statements against the judge's staff.
And Aaron joins me now. Aaron, with so much going on in the world and Ivanka pulling away from politics, this will really be the first time we see her in public in a while.
That's right, Phil, because ever since her father left the White House, Ivanka Trump really has shied away from public appearances with him. She did not attend the kickoff to his current campaign for the White House. But the judge's decision here at court today assures that for at least a brief time, she's going to return to center stage in all the legal dramas now engulfing the former president. Phil?
All right, we continue to watch. Aaron Katursky, thanks so much. Congressman George Santos has pleaded not guilty to a sweeping 23-count indictment filed earlier this month. Santos is accused of stealing people's identities, lying to federal election officials, and charging donors credit cards without their permission. The New York congressman has been charged with wire fraud, making materially false statements to the Federal Election Commission, aggravated identity theft, and access device fraud. Santos's trial is set for September 9th, 2024. The mother of the 6-year-old who shot his teacher at a Virginia school has had her court case rescheduled. Daisha Taylor's court date for a child neglect charge was moved to December 8th. Meantime, lawyers for Abby Zwerner, the teacher injured in the shooting, argued that her $40 million lawsuit against Newport News Public School should go to trial, but the school division has argued her injuries should fall under the state's workers' compensation. The judge told both sides that a written decision would be made within a week. There's still much more to get to here tonight on Prime. A heartbreaking end to the search for a missing 5-year-old boy, who is now being linked to his death. But next, families of hostages waiting. Many have started challenging Israeli officials, accusing the government of not prioritizing the more than 200 people taken. In our Prime Focus, we speak to a family fighting for their son's rescue.
In his spirit is here, you know, he's here. I feel it. I feel him everywhere in the house, and I know he will come back. I know he will come back.
I jumped to the rear bumper. Mrs. Kennedy was screaming. I wasn't fast enough.
Give it to me. Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
It all began so beautifully. Suddenly, there was a shock. Mrs. Kennedy's dress was stained with her husband's blood. She said, I want them to see what they have done to Jack.
What is our country coming to? Are we a sick society? I felt extreme hostility in front of Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy.
The greatest courage is to go about a day's work.
That's a large order for a woman.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
Welcome back. Many families of Hamas hostages not just waiting for answers, they are demanding them. And they are receiving support from other families whose worst fears have already been realized. With the ground operations expected to expand in the war between Israel and Hamas, the families of hostages are even more on edge, as you can imagine. And that includes one family who tells ABC News no one notified them of this new phase. ABC's James Longman has their story in tonight's Prime Focus.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Hey,
I'm James.
James.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, James. My name is Zoe.
Orit Maya has become two people since the October 7 Hamas attack.
Okay, hi, nice
I'm
to see
happy
you
that
again.
you are here.
She's a mother, sick with worry for a son in captivity.
I have a big hole here inside. I'm worried. I'm afraid. He says...
And she's a fighter, a campaigner.
Bring Almog back home.
Trying to force her government to prioritize bringing him home. Both roles are new to her, but they require all her energy.
I'm in a loop in my life. My life changed, got changed. Once I'm happy, when I smile and I'm, laughing, and sometimes I'm crying. You know, it's mixed feelings.
Her 21-year-old son, Elmog, was at the Nova Music Festival when terror struck. He called home, panicked.
He said, open TV. The army closed the party. There are rockets and shooting all over. I'm hiding. I don't know what's going on. I'll call you every half an hour. Mom, I love you.
This was the last phone call.
The last phone call.
When he said, "I love you," did you know something serious was happening?
Yes.
This video circulating online appears to show captives held by Hamas, including Almog, his hands covering his face. Orit's brother Aviram is here for support, an uncle struggling to make sense of the senseless.
He calls her Mamo. It's
Mamo.
not her mom, but this time he called her mom.
Yes. I knew exactly that I'm in a big trouble. That's what I understood. Yes. Because Mamo is when he called me. Mamo, how are you?
For Orit, her son is all around her, reminding her to be strong.
In his spirit, he's here. You know, he's here. I feel it. I feel him everywhere in the house, and I know he will come back. I know he will come back.
But for this family and many like them, these personal traumas must also be public calls to action. Many of the hostage families feel let down by the Israeli government, who they say has not prioritized rescuing their loved ones. According to the IDF, more than 200 people are still believed to be in Hamas captivity. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says the hostages have not been forgotten.
אנחנו בעיצומה של מערכה על קיומנו. הצבנו למלחמה שתי מטרות: לחסל את החמאס על ידי השמדת היכולות הצבאיות והשלטוניות שלו, ולעשות כל דבר אפשרי להשיב את החטופים שלנו הביתה.
Along the highway, the pressure campaign is everywhere. Photos of Almog follow his mother and uncle to the hostage family center. The group, the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, has escalated its push to get the hostages freed, and it seems to be working.
So the family have come to this community hub, which is where relatives of the hostages assemble to be with each other, to support each other, to get advice, to meet officials. But these families, they're going through something extraordinarily difficult. They're grieving, they're in pain, but they're also now campaigners to put pressure on the international community to try and get their loved ones home.
Former ambassadors, social workers, lawyers and doctors, a world of volunteers offering real help to families in need. And among them, extraordinarily, families of the dead, offering to console those who don't yet know the fate of those they love.
My name is Eli. I'm married to Ahuva, and our daughter was murdered in this horrible party or festival. Since this horrible Shabbat, our life was, we're in a wrecks, you know, we're devastated. We have to wait 4 or 5 days until the government let us know that they found my daughter. I only allow my mind to get attached in details very rarely because it's too much. So I'm trying to be here. We brought my daughter's dog.
Eli tells me his daughter Adi begged him for a dog after Argentina's World Cup win. A fan of Lionel Messi, she named him Leo. He sits patiently, waiting for an owner who will not return.
My daughter is part of it, so I cannot look at picture, I cannot go to her room. It's like a stab, you know, something very unconceivable, so it's precious to us now, more than ever.
Being here with Leo beside him is Eli's tribute to his daughter, a way to deal with his grief, a way to give her death meaning.
Everyone in the world should ask himself a serious question. Do we appreciate life? Are we worthy to live life that is full of love and prosperity and caring? Or we should let evil forces to take over us? I choose life.
You're doing your daughter's memory a tremendous service.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's her spirit.
Yeah.
She solved everything by her presence, by her tenderness.
For Orit, this community hub is what she needs to fight for her son, but also process the pain.
They understand my feelings. They give me a hug. They give me everything I need. Everything I need here. And I can meet people here, and I can cry with them, and they laugh with them, and they understand me. That's what I need now.
Support is so important. Our thanks to James Longman. There's still much more to get to here tonight. Coming up, the latest developments in the trial of a man accused of killing students at an Idaho college. A judge's decision on his request to overturn an indictment. But next, as the community mourns yet another mass shooting in this country, we take a look at why the U.S. has so many more of these incidents than any other countries, by the numbers.
I jumped to the rear bumper. Mrs. Kennedy was screaming. I wasn't fast enough.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
It all began so beautifully. Suddenly, there was a shock. Mrs. Kennedy's dress was stained with her husband's blood. She said, I want them to see what they have done to Jack.
What is our country coming to? Are we a sick society? I felt extreme hostility in front of Mrs. Jacqueline Kennedy. The greatest courage is to go about a day's work. That's a large order for a woman.
Reporting from Atlanta, I'm Steve Osunsami. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. As we grieve the loss of life after yet another mass shooting, we are taking a look at why the U.S. has so many more mass shootings than any other country in the world by the numbers. 31% of all mass shootings in the world between 1966 and 2012 took place in the U.S. That is despite the U.S. having just 5% of the world's population, according to a study presented to the American Sociological Association. As of 2018, American civilians owned more than 120 guns per 100 residents. That is more guns than people. For comparison, the country with the second highest rate of gun ownership is Yemen at nearly 53 guns per 100 residents, and Canada comes in at number 6 with fewer than 35 per 100 residents. The numbers do suggest gun laws do make a difference. After 4 mass shootings between 1987 and 1996, Australians supported stricter gun laws. The country has seen 0 mass shootings since. In the U.S., 70% of American voters ranked laws to try to reduce gun violence as a higher priority than protecting the right to own a wide variety of guns. That was in 2022 in an ABC News Ipsos poll. Yet well over 50% of gun-related legislation passed in the U.S. states in the past 18 months have expanded access to firearms or benefited the firearm industry by, for example, allowing manufacturing in the state or protecting gun makers from liability. There is much more ahead here on Prime. The statue at the center of that deadly protest in Charlottesville is getting a new life. What it will be turned into. And they are an indie music staple. Young the Giant lead singer Samir Gadya sits down with us to talk about how his family's history inspires his work and the importance of representation in tonight's Prime playlist.
There's an empowerment of the sound of the South Asian diaspora of music and its stronghold on Western music over the decades. And so, you know, at the beginning, we were using more traditional Indian elements that people can pick apart and be like, oh, okay, this is a tabla, this is a sitar.
But first, a look at our top trending stories on abcnews.com.
What's good to watch, read? Where can I get a great deal on what I'm just dying to buy? Oh, it's all right here. GMA Life. Get the latest celebrity buzz, deals and steals, and the coolest lifestyle tips from GMA.
I love that so much.
Streaming weekends on ABC News Live.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you? Yes.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do?
Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're gonna love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
Wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Streaming free on ABC News Live.
Reporting from Manhattan, I'm Diane Macedo. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. A grim end to the search for a missing 5-year-old boy. The statue at the center of that 2017 Charlottesville protest gets a new life. And how the Beatles were able to finish the release of a new song decades after the death of 2 members. Those stories and more in tonight's rundown.
Police say they found the body of a toddler in a Wisconsin dumpster. The 5-year-old had been missing since earlier this week. His parents were going door to door asking if neighbors had seen their son. His body was found about a mile away from his house. Authorities took a 27-year-old and a teenager into custody in connection with the case. Milwaukee police say foul play is suspected, but they are still investigating the cause of death.
The case against the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students is going forward after he failed to get his indictment thrown out.
In what sounded like a college course in Idaho law and history, Brian Koberger's attorneys tried to convince a judge the grand juries in the state have been getting it wrong, and the jurors should have to find proof beyond a reasonable doubt to indict someone rather than just probable cause to indict. The judge saying it was a creative argument, but the law is the law, and he can't override that.
I am constrained by existing law. I can't just change the law. I am going to deny that argument.
Koberger is accused of a brutal murder. Prosecutors say he stabbed the 4 students in their off-campus home in November of last year, leading to a weeks-long manhunt. He was a graduate student at nearby Washington State University.
General Motors has suspended all Cruise driverless operations across the country. This after California regulators banned the cars from state roads this week, calling them a risk to the public. The company says it's working to rebuild public trust after one of its taxis ran over a pedestrian who was struck by another car in San Francisco. GM has also tested the taxis in Austin and Phoenix. General Motors acquired the autonomous vehicle company in 2016 for $1 billion.
They've destroyed a Confederate statue that was at the center of deadly protests in Charlottesville. That 10,000-pound statue of Robert E. Lee melted down at an undisclosed location. Advocacy groups say the remains will be reimagined as a work of art to be displayed in the city. The monument was a flashpoint for the deadly white nationalist rally in Charlottesville in 2017. Violent protests devolved into street brawls and left several people dead, including Heather Heyer. She was struck by a car that plowed through a crowded intersection. Former President Trump had this to say at the time.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Definitely why we joined the Coast Guard is to save lives and bring people back to their families safe.
4 divers who were lost at sea reunited with the crew that rescued them. The divers had drifted off course, floated for almost a day before being spotted by Coast Guard off the coast of North Carolina just after midnight. Crews spotted a strobe light activated by divers, which led to their rescue. The divers said they survived by staying positive and hoping for a miracle.
We will be found. I just kept repeating that over and over and over. And I said, just keep that mindset. And we did.
The Beatles taking a bow, releasing their final song, Now and Then, recorded over the span of decades. John Lennon recorded his vocal tracks on a demo tape in the 1970s. George Harrison recorded his guitar parts in 1995 before his death. Paul McCartney and drummer Ringo Starr finished up the track with the help of artificial intelligence last year. That track will be released November 2nd as a double-sided single, along with their first song from 1962, Love Me Do.
Some would argue as big, if not bigger, than the Beatles. Don't send me emails. Taylor Swift has leveled up to new heights again. She is now a billionaire. According to a Bloomberg report, the new title comes after her record-breaking Eras tour, which also boosted the U.S. economy everywhere she went this summer alongside Beyoncé's Renaissance tour. Taylor Swift, the Eras tour, her concert movie, is also selling out theaters nationwide. And today, she also released her album 1989, Taylor's Version. After decades on the scene, with a body of work cementing them as an indie music staple, Young the Giant is still finding ways to innovate and connect to a deeper meaning. On their fifth and latest album, American Bollywood, lead singer Samir Gadhia taps into his family history as inspiration to write and produce songs about identity and roots. I sat down with Samir to talk about his musical journey and about the importance of representation as one of the only Indian frontmen in American music. Young the Giant's self-titled album released in 2011 to critical acclaim. Their first huge hit, My Body. And of course, there was also Cough Syrup. The band formed in 2004 under another name, the Jakes. But some members go back further than that, a teenage talent show.
I was in middle school with two of them, but at the time they were doing their own thing. It was a couple other guys I roped into doing it with me.
We sat down with lead singer Samir Gadhia in Houston at 713 Music Hall.
Some of my favorite shows of this tour are not necessarily the most noteworthy venues or the most iconic. Oftentimes it's just the place you wouldn't even expect.
That must be like a euphoric feeling.
It's amazing.
A feeling Samir almost left behind at a crossroads in college when he was pre-med at Stanford.
I think my parents wanted me to be successful, an avenue that there was a lot of representation in. So obviously as the stereotypical ones are, you know, the doctor, the lawyer.
But when Samir thought about being a professional musician, he could only name one other Indian rock star. Queen's Freddie Mercury, born Farrokh Bulsara to British Indian parents. But Farrokh changed his name to Freddie.
You know, it blows my mind how many Indian people or brown people still don't know that he is Indian. I knew from a very young age, and I didn't think about that, but maybe it made these decisions in me that, okay, maybe I have to change some things a little bit to be accepted by a larger group of people. And I think those are very like small but insidious things that I've like picked apart over the course of time and made that intention not to do that.
Samir chose not to change his name and has been out front for more than 20 years.
My goal also is to be able to not necessarily just be a role model, but to be just an example of representation and success and show that there are other ways to be successful. There are other ways to do it, and if I'd seen that when I was younger, maybe I would have embraced it sooner.
And he says he wishes musicians weren't separated by genre. You say it segregates the artists who make it. So tell me what you mean by that.
Like urban music, you know, and the way you describe an urban population. It's very similar. Music and like any art form responds or ripples to the secret codes that we have in our culture. And so there are ways outwardly, objectively, that people classify music nowadays. Maybe I think there was a certain point of time where music maybe did classify the style of music, but I think now more than ever in an era where we're kind of post-genre in terms of the way stuff is sounding. Like there's influence coming from all over the place, and we're all melding stuff together.
Young the Giant has certainly done that over the years, like with Mind Over Matter, the title track off their 2014 release. In 2018, Superposition off Mirror Master. And for their 5th studio album released in 2022, an homage to his roots.
It was an empowerment of the sound of the South Asian diaspora of music and its stronghold on Western music over the decades. And so, you know, in the beginning, we were using more traditional Indian elements that people can pick apart and be like, oh, okay, this is a tabla, this is a sitar.
The lyrics in Wake Up, the first line, as you were talking about, is walking through the desert of the Indus Valley. I was going backwards and I swear I saw me. I love that line.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the tones. The record is loosely inspired by the act structure of the Mahabharata, which is part of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a, you know, larger Indian Hindu text.
Now that you're here with American Bollywood, where you are musically, what kind of feedback have you gotten from your family?
You know, American Bollywood, that song in particular, is the story of my parents and the story of my father. You know, 24, he touches down in Michigan. That's the first time he ever saw snow.
American dreams were hard to conjure without a bed to sleep in.
And I think it was validating for them, you know, for all the stuff that they've endured over the course of their life.
Samir is now a father of 2 boys who don't have to look far at all to see themselves represented in music. Young the Giant is still selling out shows, always grateful for their hardcore fan base. And on this night in Houston, a special pre-show performance.
I was the one to blame, calling you up on the phone.
And just before taking the stage, kind enough to indulge a longtime fan with a verse from Cough Syrup.
If I could find a way to see this straight, I'd run away to some fortune that I should have found by now.
And after almost 2 decades, Samir's favorite part of the music business is still the live show.
You know, I am open and ready, and I don't ever want to be closed off to inspiration. The second I think that, I forget who said this, but I think the second an artist thinks that they're the ones who are writing their songs, it's when it's done. Because you really are just channeling something. You're channeling some creativity.
We thank Samir and Young the Giant for joining the playlist. And tonight we are remembering a man who quietly made history on Capitol Hill, working entirely behind the scenes. Bertie Bowman has died at the age of 92. And while he may not be a household name, he's left an indelible mark on the very fabric of our nation's capital. Here's ABC's Danny New.
I'm gonna have to start down at that end.
Bertie Bowman's path to becoming the longest-serving African-American on the congressional staff started on his parents' farm in South Carolina.
There is no parallel to the economic bondage in which cotton holds the South.
His parents were sharecroppers, but when Bowman was 13 years old, an offhand comment during a speech from Senator Burnett Maybank gave him an idea for a different future. The senator told the crowd if they were ever in Washington to come say hi.
I asked him if I come to Washington, that mean me too, and he said, yes, my boy. If you ever come to Washington, stop by and see me.
And that was enough for young Bertie. At 13, he left home, hopped on a train to D.C., and found Maybank's office. And true to his word, the senator welcomed him and offered him $2 a week to sweep the Capitol steps.
Sweeping the steps, man, it was better than being in the fields on the farm.
Bowman eventually worked his way up to a clerical role with the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in 1966, and it was there that he started mentoring a young congressional clerk named Bill Clinton.
He was exactly the kind of person you'd want to take you under his wing if you're a 20-year-old student.
On and off into his late 80s, Bowman stayed with the Foreign Relations Committee, preparing the rooms before meetings. And in 2019, the Senate Federal Credit Union, where he served as chairman, showed their gratitude to Bowman, naming their new headquarters after him. Bowman passed away this past week at 92 years old, but his legacy for nearly a century of service will not be forgotten.
What a remarkable life and legacy. Our thanks to Danny New for that. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Phil Lipoff. Stay with ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.
This is ABC News Live.
The crush of family.